Okay, folks, it's your buddy, it's your pal, Mike Messier. I hope you're doing well, everyone who's watching. If you're watching now, if you're watching later. So professional wrestling. Last Monday night, a lot of WWE fans, most, I'd say 95 to 99%, were extremely disappointed in Monday Night Raw. We don't need to go through the brutal details. Of course, I was involved in Raw protest. I was not watching Raw. I was involved in Raw protest. Folks, if you're going to watch Monday Night Raw tomorrow night or Monday night, whenever you see this video, December 3rd, realize that time is precious. Your life is precious. If you put all the hours of bad WWE you've been watching just in the last year or two alone, and you put that time and those hours into something productive that was good for you, good for society, even if it was sleeping, would be better than watching Monday Night Raw. I mean, maybe that's could be the new slogan for sleep. Sleep. It's better for you than watching Monday Night Raw. It's just disturbing to me that people feel need to be loyal to the WWE. Why is that disturbing? Because if nothing else, my life, I want to be a testimony for someone else. You know, Tupac Shakur said, I may not be the voice that changes the world, but I guarantee that I will affect the voice that changes the world. And I try to pass that on to you. I, as Mike Messier, this knowledge base of professional wrestling, I may not ever be hired by the WWE, and hopefully I'm not. From what I see, the people that work there get burned out, they get underpaid. All the good ideas, they pass them off either to Pat Patterson 30 years ago or to the McMahons, just take the credit, even if the ideas weren't their own. And for me, in my industry, the film industry, copyrights, playwriting, you know, you always put the author of the piece on the work. Ever notice with WWE, they don't give credits to their producers and to their writers and so forth, because the McMahon family would like you to think that they're doing all the work themselves. That's just the goddamn reality. I've listened to enough Something to Wrestles with Bruce Pritchard without a fucking T to realize this, okay? So that ownership of material, I'm talking about the WWE, how they don't give credit to the writers or the producers. The McMahons would like you to think they do it all on their own. So I'm not going to be watching Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. I encourage others to not watch Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. Do something else with your time. If you really feel like you need to wean yourself off Monday Night Raw, tape the show and zip through the commercials at least. For the last 9 weeks, I've been involved in Raw protest. I haven't been watching Raw. Now, there's alternatives, folks. As pro wrestling fans, we don't have to just be encumbered or enslaved to the current WWE product. We have other things we can watch. We can watch old discs, and I've been watching old discs. And something I've been watching the last couple of nights was Dynamite Kid. Yes, the Dynamite Kid of the British Bulldogs. Interestingly enough, they're not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Either the British Bulldogs as a tag team or Davey Boy Smith, who's rest in peace. You'd think he'd be in by now at least. Or Dynamite Kid, who's still alive. They're not in the WWE Hall of Fame. But I was watching the Dynamite Kid versus Rollerball Rocco, who is better known as Ted Petty, one half of the Public Enemy. And I was watching this, I guess it was World of Sport Wrestling. If any of the UK people, I know that Chris Old, who likes to berate me sometimes in the wrestling fans group, but from the UK, if you're familiar with the World of Sport Wrestling from, I guess, the late 70s or 80s, I'm watching this Dynamite Kid versus Rollerball Rocco match last night, and I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. I was watching Dynamite Kid versus a guy named Tally Ho K. I'd never heard of this guy. What a great worker. And they're doing their wrestling matches in different rounds. There's like 6 5-minute rounds. It's fascinating. You might have seen those Queens of Ashbury rules matches or rules of Queensberry matches with Lord William Regal or Steven Regal. This is pretty much what they were copying, was these matches with World of Sport Wrestling. So Dynamite Kid, we've always heard about how great the Dynamite Kid was, but trust me, I'm watching some of this 1981 or 1980 Dynamite Kid stuff from England, and it's fascinating. And what these guys did, one thing that I want to really get specific with, they didn't bounce off the ropes in the same way we've seen for the last, 10, 20, 30 years in WWE, WCW. These guys were not using the ropes as if it was just understood that you could throw a guy off the rope and he's going to bounce off. They were using the ropes in these matches only to propel themselves at certain times, to use the ropes like in a realistic fashion. Now, this might seem like, okay, we've come so far with pro wrestling, you just accept Rey Mysterio Jr., and there's a specific move in wrestling now that I hate. It's like when one wrestler, male or female, will do this. They'll bounce off, and then they'll kind of like throw their legs in reverse, Thez press around the opponent's midsection. The opponent will kind of lift them up by underneath the stomach, and they'll bounce off the ropes or do something. And it's always like a weird thing where it's like, okay, obviously this is choreographed, and obviously they're in agreement to this move. There's so many moves now, and you can, if you want, blame WCW Cruiserweight division. Just this is when it started, was some of these moves coming from La Lucha Libre, no offense, but the Mexican style traditionally was a more animated, cartoonish, in-ring style, and some of that kind of came over, I think, poorly to mainstream American pro wrestling, where some of these moves are just so fake and fabricated looking, it affects the product. Going back to that Tally-Ho K Dynamite Kid stuff from 1981, I'm telling you, it just looked like a more realistic fight. That brings me to stuff like UFC. Ultimate Fighting Championship has that brutal, hard-hitting fight feel to it, which is why it's so popular, because in it's legitimate, or at least we're told that it's legitimate. Of course, I mean, I just say that because you had that, it wasn't UFC, but it was a Ken Shamrock, I think, Kimbo Slice match, which it was very apparent that Ken Shamrock was calling spots with Kimbo, and you can't really deny that if you wanted to. But that being said, I think one thing that why WWE or pro wrestling has been losing some fans to UFC or mixed martial arts as a sport is because that realism. And pro wrestling can get that realism back, but you have to change the style. You can't use these ropes all the time. And going back to fucking Bill Watts, 1992, when he changed all those rope rules in WCW, people protested and were angry. But essentially, they brought some realism to the product or to the show. Speaking of realism in pro wrestling, and maybe that's the subtopic of this, we talk about where people have been debating intergender wrestling. Now, I saw these proponents, female wrestlers, and I do respect them quite a bit. Jordan Grace, I think her name is Kelly Klein, beautiful, hardworking women who are really doing great things in women's wrestling. But they, along with the commentator or the YouTube guy, Brian Zane, were all very, uppity about, women have to wrestle men, or we have to have intergender wrestling for wrestling to be great or fully equal. First of all, get WWE women in Saudi Arabia at all, and let's talk about equality in pro wrestling, okay? Fight that battle first. As far as these intergender matches, I've seen some, and to me, I'd rather see a Kelly Klein versus Jordan Grace. I'd rather see Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair. I'd rather see Ronda Rousey versus, Alexa Bliss. I'd rather see those. Of course, Alexa's injured, but you get my point. I'd rather see a good, hard-hitting women's match. Tessa Blanchard, bring her in and do a storyline with Charlotte Flair. I'd rather see that than, quite frankly, some fucking intergender match. And yes, there are exceptions. I'm sure Jordan Grace could hold her own in a match, and it's realistic. I'm sure of it because she's very powerful and strong. But I just feel that if you start doing programs on a regular basis in the WWE, say a Becky Lynch versus Seth Rollins feud, which I think they were putting their toe in the ocean with that, or Charlotte Flair is going to wrestle Brock Lesnar, I think you're going to have a whole group of women on the, on the smaller side, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and so forth, that are going to be realistically left out of that. If they start having Drew McIntyre versus Bayley as your third match on Monday Night Raw, then, and if Bayley somehow gets a victory or can hold her own for a few minutes, it just destroys the fucking credibility even more so than we have it. And yes, the argument, the flip side is fine. What about Rey Mysterio? Well, Rey Mysterio always wrestled from underneath. He was always wrestling as a smaller guy. And it's just, to me, all these things go in and out. And I do feel like that the fans, including myself, have to speak up for pro wrestling. If we give a flying fuck at all about match quality or realism or wrestling being something better than a fucking sideshow in a bar, okay, in these downtown urban environments with tuna melts and fucking potato sticks and waffles and chicken, because that's what they serve at these bar wrestling. I call them hipster bar wrestling shows, okay? We don't have the days of the Mid-South Coliseum, 13,000 fans in Memphis, 1984. We don't have the Mid-South Coliseum or the Dallas Sportatorium, 10,000 fans a week. So what I'm saying is, we got a comment here. Thank you for the comment. Problem is, WWE took the technical out and showed TV drama on the fans. The ropes are circus acts and fewer technical wrestling. I also think women need more respect. I totally agree. The women wrestlers, I'm talking about the Tessa Blanchards. I'm talking about the Charlotte Flairs, Sasha Banks, Asuka. I mean, Asuka has been fucking made into a sideshow act. Asuka's been made into the Hacksaw Duggan of 2018. I'm sorry. What Asuka's become is the tough woman, the happy-go-lucky tough woman who's going to lose. And that's all Asuka is now. I'm just having a little sip of beverage. Thank you for the response there. Please, anyone feel free to chime in. If you guys are watching this or ladies are watching this, feel free to share the video. Just copy and paste the link. Say, hey, this guy's talking wrestling. It's live. It's very unpredictable what I can say. Other things I want to talk about wrestling. This whole fucking James Ellsworth thing. And I jokingly, said, I mean, it's a morbid joke, but does that prove that intergender wrestling's not a good idea? And of course, I mean, I get it. The argument is, well, that's just one guy, blah, blah, blah. Well, nobody who was involved in intergender wrestling with James Ellsworth was on the record, as far as I know, complaining about this guy. And here he is running around as the intergender world champion. And I don't have a record of all the women that he wrestled on these independent shows. But if James Ellsworth is the champion of intergender wrestling and nobody was arguing with that, then what the fuck? I mean, it just proves that there's a certain, in my opinion, folks, intergender wrestling, there's a certain sexuality to it or a certain deviance that if you can at least just admit to it, okay? The pro wrestlers, no offense. I mean, I've got friends that are pro wrestlers, but some of them are a little deviant, all right? So let's not kid our fucking selves. Some of these talents, when they do these intergender matches, is for a jolly and a ha-ha. Now, of course, that brings us to our friends, Joey Ryan. And here we go, another nice comment. I've seen Asuka in videos in Japan wrestling. Japan shows a deep respect to all wrestlers, and you can see the product is better. Also, it has become the place to go for training. This is by MG Tao, Vet 67. I don't know if you're a veteran of war, but if you are, thank you for your service. But I would just say that, yes, you're right. And Japan does show a deep respect. Now, they do in Japan, and maybe you know more about it than I do, but the groups over there, the promotions are segregated by gender, meaning that as far as I know, New Japan Wrestling doesn't do women's wrestling. They used to have, going back to the late 80s, these crazy, wild Japanese women's shows that were syndicated out of New York. Late night, I think Friday night at 11, you had this New York station that would play these awesome women's matches, just hard-hitting stuff. And so Japan does have a distinctive flavor for wrestling. I've been trying to get more into Japan. One thing I'd really love to see, if anyone has a tip on this, I'd love to see Japanese wrestling shows with American commentary, but not just today's stuff. I'm talking like the 80s, the 90s. And I know that the fucking New Japan website had English commentary on a lot of their old libraries, but to be honest with you, I was very frustrated when I subscribed to the New Japan service for a couple of months. Their website platform was pretty fucking god awful, to be honest with you. It was problematic. It was sluggish for me, and maybe I didn't have the best service. I don't know, but it was like to just search for a fucking show or a match. It was like fucking arithmetic. It was difficult. But thank you for chiming in, Vet 67. Speaking of which, the holiday season's here. Starrcade I didn't watch. I didn't watch Evolution, and I didn't watch that god awful Crown Jewel show. Speaking of WWE, I went to two Starrcades in my life. 1991 and 1997. I kind of forgot that I went to two Starrcades. They were not holiday Thanksgiving Starrcades. They were both in December, and both of them, I have to be honest, the 91 was probably the more fun experience. I have a video about going to Starrcade 91, and also Starrcade 97 was very disappointing. It had very lousy seats. The MCI Center was very new at the time, and they did not even have the TVs for everybody. So the lousy seats, the security were a bunch of fucking assholes. Couldn't see worth a shit. Fucking Kevin Nash did not show up. Found out later he was injured or having a heart attack or just heart condition, I should say, or was concerned that he might be. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's told that story. But in any event, I have been to Starrcades. I also went to a WWF show on Thanksgiving one night. You listen to Bruce Pritchard, and he says, oh, the WWE, we didn't do wrestling on Thanksgiving because Vince was a family guy or a Thanksgiving guy. Well, guess what? I went to a Thanksgiving show 1984, folks, on Capitol Center, Landover, Maryland, the Turkey Tournament. It was a fun show. The undercard was like the Moondogs versus fucking Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas. I want to say Big John Studd versus Jay Strongbow. Just a bunch of matches that were like top guys, main event guys against upper mid card, like overjobbers is what we call them. So, and then the final match of the Turkey Tournament, 1984 Thanksgiving night, was 20 guys in a fucking steel cage. This place was sold out, guys. This was fun. And it was $25,000 to the first guy who could get out of the cage. So you put 20 of your best wrestlers in a steel cage. And we're talking some top guys, even Pat Patterson, Bobby Heenan. Bobby the Brain Heenan was in there. Studd was in there. Johnson and Atlas, the Moondogs, Tito Santana, Greg Valentine. 20 guys in the cage. First guy gets out. He wins 20 grand or 50 grand, something like that. And then they keep on fighting. And then the last guy stuck in the cage was what they called the turkey of the year. So you had like a winning thing, and then you had a losing thing. And this was a lot of fucking fun. And it was a long match too. I wish they had that on fucking tape. It came down to, I want to say Tito Santana, Pat Patterson, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Greg Valentine and Big John Studd. And so these five guys are in this fucking cage, and they're fighting to get out of the cage. And Studd somehow gets out, grabs the microphone and says, Bobby, get out of the cage. You don't want to be the turkey. And the loser of this fucking match was named the Turkey of the Year. And they weren't going to tar and feather you or any bullshit like that. It's just that you were called the turkey. So long story short, or long dick short, as we say in New England, they're having this goddamn match. And shout out to my buddy. I don't want to ruin his rep, but he came up with that expression, long dick short. So they're having this goddamn match. And basically, Pat Patterson and Tito are fighting Bobby the Brain and fucking Valentine. Patterson gets out, and he is kind of thinking that Tito's going to get out at the same time, but Tito gets stuck behind. So then Tito gets double teamed by Valentine and fucking Bobby the Brain. And at this time, fucking Bobby the Brain was just a manager, and why was he even in this match? And Valentine and Tito had a hot program. Basically kept on, I'll get to your comment in a second. Basically, Valentine kept on beating up Tito. Tito got the better of it. They were bleeding, and Tito got the figure four on him and got out of the fucking cage, leaving Greg the Hammer Valentine as the fucking Turkey of the Year. Here we go. I enjoyed the old NWA. I know they had issues, but they provided a better product than Vince Meat Market. I like that. My first live card had Bugsy McGraw versus Nikolai Volkov, Dusty Rhodes versus Ivan Koloff, Barry Windham versus Don Morocco, Ric Flair versus Harley Race. I've got to think that you were in the Tampa Sports Auditorium 1981, Vet 67. Based on that comment, that seems right about 1981 Tampa, or the Eddie Graham Sports Complex. If you want to chime in there, Vet, and let me know, because I mean, see what this Vet just told us was his first show. If you read the comments, what a show that was. Bugsy McGraw, Nikolai Volkov, and I hate to always be the guy pissing on today's wrestling product. It's like a cheese product. It's not even real wrestling. Jacksonville, but the year can't remember. I'm guessing it was 81 or 82. A vet, if you go online and do a Google search, you could probably find like, Florida Championship Wrestling cards, find a website that has a listing of all the arena events. Like if you remember the name of the auditorium you went to, Wrestling Results, Jacksonville. A good friend of mine lives in Jacksonville now. He fucking loves it. Maybe you can, I don't know if you're still in Jacksonville there, vet, but if you can tell us if you still like Jacksonville. I've thought about moving there. Obviously, I've been in New England for a long fucking time. I'm a little sick of it. Other things I want to speak about with wrestling these days. Look, folks, I hate to be the guy that pisses on pro wrestling, but I have to speak up. I have to speak up because I was friends with Ox Baker. I was friends with John Cronus, Eliminator Cronus. I shot films with those guys. Axel Rotten and Balls Mahoney were very nice to me at Extreme Reunion 2012 and signed autographed action figure boxes for me. So when I see wrestling going down this fucking trajectory of bullshit, and that's exactly what it is, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to fucking stand for it, okay? Or sit and stand or stand and sit. I'm not going to be a fucking mark or a fucking loser and just watch them disgrace my sport. And yes, when Tommaso Ciampa, the NXT champion, how long do I plan on boycotting WWE for? It's really a Raw protest, but I'll boycott as long as I feel like it. When the WWE, Mick, and I appreciate your question, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but when they start showing to me that they're doing a better show, I'll be back, I guess. But I mean, there's so many things wrong with Raw. It's 3 hours long. The commentary is piss poor. I mean, Graves, fucking Cole, and Renee. Pick your poison. Who's worse? I don't like looking at Corey Graves. He's a tattoo neck. I mean, I have tattoos. Some guys can pull off the fucking tattoo neck. I saw a guy the other day had like a fucking dog on his fucking neck. And I was like, man, that was an interesting choice. But I don't like looking at Corey Graves. I don't like his swarminess. Renee is so scripted. She's so tight with her commentary. She's not loose at all. I think she's being very safe and she's being very professional. And I have a video where I put over Renee Young for doing good comment, for going to that show, even though I didn't like the show in general. We get some more comments. What do you think about the rumors of the All Elite Wrestling? Hey man, if they don't have fucking 30 super kicks a match, and if they don't have fucking thumb in the ass spots like PWG, and if they don't have Cody Rhodes just talking about how great his life is all the time, I'm all for it. I think competition is going to be good. Let's put it this way. Even if they have all that crap, I'm all for it. Mick, I'm boycotting until they start caring about their product. As it is, we spend more time listening to people talk in the ring than we actually see wrestling. Exactly. The vet's on the game tonight. Mick says Raw is very paint by numbers these days. It's bland. He's totally accurate, folks. Good comments, guys. I appreciate Mick coming in. That was Mick, actually. Thanks, Mick. And guys, please share the fucking love, man. If you guys want to share this video, we have Monday night or whatever the fuck Sunday night football coming. But I just another thing, guys, it might be of interest. I lost my phone about 4 days ago. I'm surprised I didn't lead with this. I lost my phone about 4 days ago. I've been living without a phone. I'm doing this fucking video in a laptop in a Burger King parking lot. I mean, because I lost my phone, my brain feels relaxed. I'm not Twittering. I'm not making incessant YouTube videos. I'm not watching YouTube or listening to YouTube in my car, in my Bluetooth like I usually do. My brain is going back to a relaxed state. And I'm just sharing that with you guys because technology's really gone too far. We've allowed it to go too far. We tweet, we Facebook, we fucking I don't do Instagram because I fear it. I'm like, how fucking deep will I get involved in that shit? But anyway, I just want to say I've had about 4 days off from the phone thing, and I feel good. Mick says, Mike, it's fine for me to hit the hey. Okay, see you, buddy. Thanks, Mick. Appreciate it. If you want to check out the video later, thanks for chiming in, Mick. So look, I appreciate everybody watching these videos. I got plenty of Mike Wrestling videos, other things going on in wrestling. there was something about Cody Rhodes and fucking Joey Ryan thumb wrestling for the United States title, the IWGP. Fucking, I have to laugh because, I mean, it's the Japanese U.S. title, and you got a fucking Joey Ryan and a Cody Rhodes, and instead of having a match, they thumb wrestle for it. And I just feel like, is that fucking entertaining? It's absurdist comedy, but it's absurdist for about 500 fans at a bar, not 20,000 people in the Mid-South Coliseum. And yeah, this is a thing that Cornette talks about, and to give him credit, that when you put this niche parody of wrestling, thumb in the ass spots and intergender wrestling, this stuff is so niche that it's niche within a niche. And for the wrestlers these days, and I really do these videos where I bitch about wrestling because I want some voice, some young kid out there, or even an old guy or a woman, to think about making their own wrestling promotion and using me as a consultant or just being inspired by what I'm saying, because the stuff that they're doing on this indie bar, fucking hipster bar scene these days, it's so built for such a small niche audience. When wrestling makes fun of itself, it doesn't work. That's like improv comedians who would do an improv show about being improv comedians. It's niche as it is, it's parody as it is in a sense. You have things like UFC, mixed martial arts out there. You have to have some goddamn realism. If you go back in the video that I'm doing now, I talked about the Dynamite Kid wrestling these 5-minute round fucking matches, and I'm telling you, that stuff was more invigorating for me to watch last night than when I'm watching these days. And I just can't think that when you have guys with the talent of a Kenny Omega, no, I'm not going to accept him wrestling the plastic doll in Japan as part of his benevolent history. If you want to get real fucking hardcore about it, when I see Kenny Omega, I turn off the goddamn disc or I fast forward his match, because when he wrestles a goddamn plastic doll in Japan, that's pissing on the Road Warriors. That's pissing on Lou Thez, the last Battle of Atlanta. That says, as for Jacksonville, it is a nice town, but not much wrestling. I hope Tony Khan does this AEW so it returns. Cons have done a lot, and if you like concerts, we got it. Well, I do like concerts. As far as musical concerts, an interesting stat and fact was the guy who sang for not Alice in Chains, but Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Whelan. I saw him in concert a year before he died, which was interesting. This Burger King guy looking to deliver some food, and he's hopefully he's not going to knock on the door. The thing is, folks, I'm just flabbergasted. Try to think of if there are other wrestling topics anyone wants to ask a question, please go ahead. But just trying to think. As far as this All In wrestling, yeah, I hope they do well. I just hope it's not. I mean, no offense to fucking All In, because I'm glad that they did All In. But when you had a 20-minute fucking Joey Ryan with Penis Ghost segment, it just didn't work for me. I'm sorry. And Cody, he always seems a little like he doesn't want to ruffle Vince's feathers too much. Have you noticed that on Twitter? Cody Rhodes always defends WWE if he has to, or not always, but often. Podcasts I've been listening to. I did go to Something to Wrestle podcast over the summer a couple of months ago. It was good. It was good, but not great is a fair way of putting it. They have one coming up, Bischoff and fucking Bruce are doing a double thing. I don't know if I'm going to go, but I did listen to the Bischoff 83 weeks about the AWA, and Bischoff really put over the team, put over, Vern Gagne, put over the Gagnes. I don't know if Bischoff talked as much about the actual Team Challenge series as I would have liked, but he did talk about it a little bit. As far as other wrestling stuff, oh God, World Class. I've got this World Class box set that I'm working through. We're talking like before the Freebirds Von Erichs feud, like almost a full calendar year before that. So it's early 82. It's very interesting for me to watch that because you had an African-American guy or a commentator on the panel who was a heel. And everyone gives credit to Jesse Ventura. Oh, Jesse Ventura was the first heel commentator. But of course, they overlook Piper in Georgia. But here this guy is in fucking world class. This guy that I'm not really familiar with, and he's pretty good commentator. I mean, he's not the best, but he's not bad. I saw some interesting stuff. There's another wrestler I saw, Tony DiNucci versus Chris Can. It was Johnny Stewart, the illustrious Johnny Stewart from AWA. This was in like 1990. Illustrious Johnny Stewart. I've always wondered if that was the same guy as Chris Candido. And I still don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think Johnny Stewart was the same guy as Chris Candido, but folks, for years, I was pretty sure those were the same guy. If you guys want a fun little trip, look in YouTube, find the Tony DiNucci versus Johnny Stewart match, and see if you don't think that this fucking Johnny Stewart is the same guy as Chris Candido. Candido was another guy I met a few times, nice guy. The pro wrestling, to give a shout out, my buddy Joe Bruin is having the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame 2019. It's like on its 10th year at convention. This is kind of funny. He's got Barry Windham, Arn Anderson, J.J. Dillon coming in as like the Four Horsemen. And I was like, yeah, that's great. Like, I'll get a picture with these guys. Wyndham, fucking Tully, Arn, and JJ. Tully will be there too. I'll get a picture with them and I'll like wear a suit and I'll be like the Ric Flair in the photo because Flair's not going to be there. But then he's also got fucking Paul Roma. And Paul Roma is going to be part of the goddamn Horseman picture. And I was talking to my friend Joe. I'm like, Joe, why are you putting Roma in that picture? He's like, well, no one's ever done it before. I'm like, yeah, and there's a reason for that. Like, I don't, no offense to Roma. I'll get a picture where I'm wearing like a tank top with fringe and glasses and me and Roma can be fucking Hercules. I'll take the Hercules spot. But I don't really want Paul Roma in my fucking Horseman picture. Let's see. What I like, okay, here we go with the vet. What I like about the cons is they know when they don't know about something. They will interview and investigate top prospects before hiring and then let the experienced promoters run the show. Very good. ROH had the War Machines. I saw them Friday night as War Raiders. The team is old school. I love them. Haven't enjoyed a team since LLD. I think those guys also wrestled in Top Rope Promotions. The two big guys with huge beards. I think we had one of them in Top Rope Promotions. I used to be the commentator for Top Rope. We had a lot of great talent, including Tommaso Ciampa, Mike Bennett, who's since become, friendly. We played brothers in the movie The Manor. If you see that, watch it late night is all I can say. But me and Mike Bennett played brothers. I do have a life outside of wrestling. You can go to MikeMessier.com. I have a film festival coming up. And I really am in a crisis point, everybody, because, I do things outside of wrestling that I do better than wrestling, or other things in life have opened up their doors to me more than the wrestling company. And I really have hit a point where I think pro wrestling doesn't want me in it because I speak my fucking truth too much. I speak my mind, and things like going to Saudi Arabia and doing a show without the women isn't going to fly for me. Or Drake Maverick pissing on his own body and then pissing on Bobby Roode's robe. That's not going to work for a guy like me. And I'm going to be outspoken about stuff like that. And I think that companies like the WWE that are so, let me kiss your ass, Vince. No, let me kiss your ass, Vince. I'm just not going to play that fucking game. And maybe I won't have a big fucking party life like these guys in WWE. And maybe I won't be Joey Ryan going around to the different parts of the country having guys put their hands on my genitals and taking photographs. But I'm going to enjoy my own goddamn life. Let's see. So we talk about the War Machines. Anyway, folks, I'm trying to think if there's anything really pissing me off. I guess really what it comes down to, and the NFL was on today too, and I checked out some of the Patriots game. Vicarious living, if you really want to get to the core of it, we're 34 minutes into this video, and now I'm coming up with the big time stuff. Vicarious living. When we live vicariously through other people, whether it's me watching wrestling, NFL, and I guess you could take that to watching a film. Would any of us spend any time appointment viewing, watching someone else doing stuff? We're really giving a piece of our fucking soul to that person. If say you're watching a bodybuilding competition, but you're not bodybuilding yourself, Or say if you're watching ballet, but you're not fucking dancing yourself somewhere at some club, or whatever the fuck. If you really think about it, vicarious living, spectator living, we have to keep that in moderation. And that's a big time fucking thought at 34 minutes in. But I'm telling you, everybody, if you sit and you watch television or movies or sports, like we all fucking do, I do, you're giving a piece of your time, a piece of your soul to somebody else. And maybe that's just because I'm in the entertainment industry, or at least I like to think I am, that I'm more sensitive to that. Like, why am I, I have friends, even locally. I'll invite them to my movies. They won't come, yet I'll go see their shows. And then after a while, I say, fuck you. I'm not going to your show anymore. So the point is, as human beings, if these wrestlers, and I'm telling you, Becky Lynch does not do her own tweets. I had a whole other thing about that. Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch are not having a tweet war, everybody. Okay, not to throw another missile at you, but that's not a real tweet war. That's the college interns at Titan Tower having a tweet war. It could be the same person writing both sides of the tweets. The WWE talent does not do their own social media. I got another video about that, but I'm just bringing it up now. But if we're putting all our energy and we're worrying about Nia Jax punching, the vet says, I think it's a shame how there's so much talent in WWE that is being held back or given stupid gimmicks. Drake Maverick, perfect example. As Rockstar Spud, I remember watching Rockstar Spud, and he had this fucking match. I'm going to take my glasses off to make a goddamn point. Drake Maverick had this fucking match on TNA, I want to say 3-4 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. And they just beat the piss out of each other. And I don't know if it wasn't a first blood match, because I think Spud was bleeding a lot, but it was like an I Quit match or something, or last man standing, and it was EC3 versus Drake. It was one of the best matches I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of matches. And Rockstar fucking Spud earned my respect. All that respect, he pissed literally all over his own pants. Rockstar Spud, you're now a fucking joke. You're a disgrace. You are the fucking Terry Taylor Red Rooster of 2018. In a shitty year for WWE, Rockstar Spud, you've disgraced yourself. You sold your spirit. You sold your soul. And you can fucking say that I got a paycheck, or you can say that you, did one for the team. However, Rockstar Spud, Drake, whatever the fuck his name is, you have to live with the fact that you basically told other guys small in stature, meaning shorter guys, that you are cowards because you piss yourselves when confronted by a larger man. Now, I am a bigger guy, but I'm not a bully. And for you, Rockstar Spud, to urinate yourself, you disgraced yourself. You disgraced all guys of a certain height. You ought to be ashamed. I mean, I don't. How else can I say it? And so someone like Spud or Vince McMahon, they could watch me say that and say, well, we got him. We hooked him. Okay, sure. What lesson are you teaching? What lesson are you fucking teaching with this fucking bullshit about don't be a bully, be a star? Yet we have a short guy. We have him urinate himself. Is that something you want to say gives you pride? It doesn't give you. It's horrible. It's god awful. Anyway, so I think I'll call. God damn it! I keep thinking I forgot something. I was saying the thing about voyeurism. Look, we all spend time watching football. We all spend time watching movies. Fucking Oscar shows, folks. Like sometimes I get into award shows, but honestly, I try not to, because why are we watching these people just congratulate themselves? And once again, I'm an entertainer. I'm writing scripts. I'm making movies, so I'm more sensitive, but I just see it as kind of like when I'm at the Oscars getting a fucking award, then I'll be giving a shit about the Oscars. I'm not going to sit there and watch a bunch of people and compare their dresses, or, oh, the host said some off-color comments. Every year at the Oscars, they bring in a host to insult people. Then they get all offended when they fucking insult people. What the fuck? WWE, as we know, is a fucking... what do I call it? It's a smoke screen for the Trump administration. I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know. How can you argue that at this point? The WWE put a lot of money. Look into the figure. It's in the fucking online. WWE funded Trump, the biggest funder of Trump. And now they do things to smoke screen Trump. And a lot of intelligent people watch WWE and they aren't dealing with real issues in the world that they could be dealing with because they're fascinated with Nia Jax punching Becky Lynch. Or, oh my God, Roman has fucking leukemia. Yeah, that was a big thing. But if you're just going to watch Raw for 3 hours, whether it's Taz, my buddy Joe Cronin, his enemy, Chris Peeps, or fucking JD from New York, all these guys who kind of make money through the podcast world or are trying to, and I like some of these guys, even my, buddy Vince Russo. Like, if you're watching wrestling just to hate watch WWE, but you're giving 3 hours of your fucking night, then you have to talk about it. Then you want people to watch you talk about how shitty the WWE is. At some point, folks, I'm glad I only have a couple of people watching my videos comparatively, because I know that I can live my life free of this crap. I don't feel a responsibility to tell thousands or millions of people how shitty WWE is. If I tell one guy, the vet tonight, or Mick, who was on here earlier, or whoever's watching, I can tell you, and if that affects one life for the better, I've done my job. So we're 40 fucking minutes into this thing. I had a lot to say. I keep thinking I'm forgetting fucking something. But maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I'm going to go now. I'm going to do my own goddamn thing. It's Mike Messier, the live fucking YouTube video. Thanks to YouTube for their fucking technologies. Thanks to the vet. If you guys haven't, I feel sound like every other fucking asshole now. Like, subscribe, share the goddamn video. Go to MikeMessier.com. All these fucking things help me, but I'm really not making fucking money or any goddamn agenda. But hey, thanks for chiming in. The Jacksonville, Yvette, man, I'm telling you, that fucking, if I can make a fucking time machine and see that Bugsy McGraw, Nikolai Volkov, Barry Windham, I'm trying to think who you said who Barry Windham wrestled. Fucking Windham versus goddamn Morocco. I mean, do you think that any fucking fan who sees fucking Joey Ryan and fucking Cody Rhodes thumb wrestle, or Jody Ryan get his fucking hand, or get some other guy's hand on his crotch, do you think that they would fucking appreciate a goddamn Barry Windham versus Don Morocco, who'd probably give you a better match now at their respective ages now than Joey Ryan and his fucking frisbee, or fucking Kenny Omega and a duck, or a fucking whatever the fuck, a plastic doll? I'm sorry, I just get offended by those guys because they're not respecting the goddamn legacy of professional wrestling, and I am. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I hung out with fucking Ox Baker, and I fucking respect pro wrestling, and I don't respect the talent that wastes their goddamn talent, okay? That's what it fucking comes down to. So if it has to be me who speaks up and talks to one person on this video, or two or three, and they share it, and maybe 10, but maybe 10 becomes 100. If each person watching this video has been inspired or motivated, you can fucking share it. You can fucking take clips of it, use your phone to capture the highlights and share these fucking words of wisdom. Maybe some young wrestling fan will go out there and make a goddamn wrestling promotion we can be proud of. As far as these all-in guys, we'll see, but they just have a tendency to be indie-rific and cute, and they have to fucking put their friends in all the goddamn matches, which is fine. But I don't feel like watching 40 fucking 50, 60 super kicks a match. I don't feel like watching Cody Rhodes talk about how beautiful his wife is all the time. We get it. She's hot. Good job. But I just feel like watching some good goddamn wrestling. All right, folks. Thanks a lot. Mike Messier. Peace out. MikeMessier.com. Blah, blah, blah. Mike Messier, Angry Wrestling Fan on Twitter. And really, I am professional wrestling's worst goddamn nightmare. I'm the fan who knows fucking too much. All right, the vet chimed in with Ox Baker. I do want to thank you for that. And Ox Baker's a cool guy. I'm going to have some Ox Baker stuff within the next year. You'll be seeing that. Thanks a lot, everyone.